Hey guys, welcome back to the Soul Sisters podcast. This is a podcast all about keeping, finding, and restoring friendships. And I am here with my amazing temporary co-host, Andie. Andie's filling in the gap, and she is rock starring it.
Thank you.
And today we have a special guest with us. We have the founder of the She Cultivates group and the host of the Beauty Marks podcast, Elizabeth Sabillon. Thank you for coming.
Yay.
Thank you, ladies, for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
You have your own podcast, so you're used to this world.
Yes, but I'm being on the other side, though. Okay? Just like asking the questions.
I know, that part is kind of funny. Just like, so tell me everything.
Yeah. Like how much?
Yeah. I love, so She Cultivates. We wanted to talk about She Cultivates because obviously this podcast is a lot about friendship and community. Mm-hmm. And I went to a She Cultivates event in January, which was so cool. You guys meet at a local coffee shop. Well, at least sometimes you do, right? Sometimes it's a local coffee shop. And that specific one in January, you were creating vision boards. Yeah. And you guys just had like art supplies everywhere. And like, it was so fun. And it gave everybody an opportunity not only to like be creative and like hands-on, but like really plan and think like and dream and be like, what do I want my year to look like? And I know that was really helpful for me because I felt like I was like at like a crossroads or like a turning point. I felt like a shift. And I was like, okay, this year is going to be different. And I know this year is going to be, I'll be able to focus on a lot more of the projects that I wanted to do and like focusing on that kind of stuff after being, being like 100% mom for so long. Yeah. I was like, okay, this is going to be a fun year. I'm like kind of breaking out a little bit.
I love that.
So that was really fun. It felt very like time appropriate to be like, okay, now dream and like put it on a board.
Yeah. Do you still have yours?
I have it right next to my bed. I look at it every single day.
I have mine too.
I love it.
I just looked at it the other day. Well, I mean, I look at it all the time, but like really, really looked at it. And I was like, wow, like a lot of the things on here, like they actually like have happened, And I feel like that's the beautiful thing about vision boarding and like, I'm glad that you had that great experience because I feel like we are going to have one next January, 2024. And that is really something that like when you go around with other women and you're kind of like dreaming together and you kind of hear people's dreams and then you're like, wow, that's something that I like kind of maybe put aside for myself because I'm like in a new season, but then like that kind of awakens that and you kind of see a visual for it and you start like being inspired by other people.
Exactly.
And so that was kind of the goal for that.
I think that the doing it together aspect was really helpful for me because if I was sitting alone in my room like, okay, let me make a vision board, like I would have not gotten as like deep in my thoughts or deep in my dreams with it as seeing everyone else and everyone's like, oh, I want to do this. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And it's like, and it kind of like pushes you a little bit to be like, okay, I want to dream big too, or I want to like, and it's, I like that idea of like doing it as a group. I feel like that's really good. And maybe you don't even know anybody there, but the idea of just being there together as like women and it's like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah. No,
I really love
it
that.
was one of our like top events that we know we need to repeat this year, like for next year.
Good.
But yeah, the group really is that like cultivating friendships. Like we really see in our generation that we are like very lonely, and I feel like for women, even though we're very social, like a lot of people say, but it's just I feel like the culture and just like a lot of things that people feel like anxiety around people or just like they don't know how to connect with people like in your late 20s or 30s, like maybe you're in a different city that you just came to. So it's just like there's so many changes that happen like in this time, and it's so hard to connect and make friends. And so the goal is to like create a space to meet friends there and like people that want to have friendship, build friendships. And so it kind of like you already know that, so everyone there's going intentional for that, and I feel like then that helps, and we have a lot of moms, like first-time moms, we have a lot of young moms, but we also have girls that are single that are like, hey, I need friends, all my friends are married, and then we have the group of that, hey, I'm just like married and I'm just trying to have my own thing or like have a day for myself because I feel like I don't have a social life outside of my circle. And so like no matter what season that you're in, like we still need community and we still need people, and I think that part has really been like the heart and foundation of like She Cultivates.
I love the idea, and I love that it's like local too, so like if I make a friend here, it's not like this is going to be a long distance friendship, like she's in Orlando as well, and I just can't wait for the day that this is like franchise and there's a She Cultivates
Yeah.
in every city in America. Like
Yes.
honestly,
Thank
we
you.
need that, and we need that like person to person interaction.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we're done with social media. Like we love it, but also like we need people.
Yeah.
Like we need to be in the same room. Like it's not the same. A Zoom call is not the same
Yeah.
as an in person. I'm feeling your energy. I'm feeling your, we're like here together. Like to me, I'm like it's night and day. Night and day.
It's like meet in real life and have
Yes.
those interactions. We actually have had people ask us like for Tampa or Miami or LA, like different people that are like, hey, do you guys do this somewhere else? And so that's
wow.
really the goal and vision, is to like go beyond this.
Yeah.
I know like through my own personal journey, my friendship groups have changed and evolved through my 20s. And like probably you guys know, it's like, you lose friends, you gain friends, you make friends that like you didn't ever think that you were going to be friends with.
Yep.
And then you experience like some times of like just feeling a little bit alone, and things that you're walking through. So I feel like this really came from a place of my own personal journey, but also seeing other people that just don't know how to start or like how to get out there, or like, so it's like facilitating that.
So how did this all come about? What is it, the origin story? Why did it come about, She Cultivates?
Yeah, so I personally love events. So I am definitely like
Me too.
event coordinator, like love hosting people. Like that's like my cup of tea. Like that's something that like gives me so much joy, is seeing other people enjoy what they're doing, activities and all of that. And so this was 2022. So in 2022, I had done like a Beauty Marks podcast like party. So I'm really big into celebrating milestones, because I feel like we always wait for like the grand finale, when it's like there's so many little moments that you can celebrate throughout life. And so I had rented out a coffee shop, got some girls together to do like a panel to celebrate Beauty Marks podcast. And then from there, so many women were like, oh my God, I want you to do more of this. Like we need more of this. Because I feel like, just like seeing people in real life, talking about topics that we all can relate to, and then having coffee, like that's the best thing ever.
Best thing ever. You just like tugged all my heartstrings just there.
Yes. So from that, then it broke out to a friend reaching out to me, which is Daniella, and she's like, I really love what you did, and I was really impacted, and like I'm crafty, and like I love doing crafty stuff. So like, would you maybe, how can I help you to do something like this, more often, or like maybe do an activity where we can do crafts for the fall, or like do something like that and bring women together. And I was like, that would be awesome. And so we started planning our Gather and Create event. So it was literally gathering women and creating like ornaments for Christmas. And so we got like 25 women together, and literally like at a coffee shop again, and it was such a hit. And we talked about gratitude, we talked about things that we all navigate through the seasons of loneliness during the holidays, and a really topic that resonated with a lot of people. And then through that, we got more people that were interested in like, we want to see how this goes. And so God put in my heart certain people that I felt like I know have a heart for women as well in the community, and that all have different gifts and talents. And so kind of gathering those women together to kind of dream how we can make this happen more regularly, because I knew that I couldn't do it by myself. I knew for sure like hosting events is hard, and it's a lot of work, even though I love it. But there's so many pieces that you sometimes can miss. And so there's a key people that I feel like all gathered together to make this happen. And so I'm super grateful for my She Cultivates team that show up.
Literally the best team.
Thank you.
Just from that one time, I was super impressed with everybody. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yes, they're amazing. Two of them are actually my sisters.
Oh, okay.
And so so we get to do that together. Another one is my best friend. And the other girls that I've known for years that are all like amazing, within themselves. And so just being able to cultivate, it's like a group that's like a community, hosting community for other people. And I feel like that was what it was always meant to be. It was never meant to be like, I am the group. It's like, no, me and a group of people to show community and what that looks like, and then build community within Orlando.
That is so cool. That is so awesome. And I feel like coming out of the pandemic and all that stuff, it's like we really need that. And maybe even without the pandemic, I just think that because of social media and the internet and blah, 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 we're like, just craving that one-on-one thing, and we're just craving like real relationships. And I think the fact that it's kind of an intimate group makes it nice. Like it's usually about 25 women, or is it bigger now?
Yeah, so like our monthly events are 25, just because I feel like community is cultivated in a small space. It's very rare that you find it in like a room full of 100 or 500 people. But we do have like we're doing an event panel this month in September, and I'm not sure when this launches, but that will be a little larger. So that will be about 50. But we
it's
usually
still a manageable number, though. It's still a manageable number.
Yeah.
But I like that. I like that it's intentionally kind of like that number, because I have been to events when it's like, welcome to this group of like 150 people and go mingle. And I'm like, oh my God. And then like there's an extrovert part of me, but there's also like an introvert part of me. And I'm like, oh, okay, I don't really know anybody. You know what I mean? Like, so I feel like that number, you're almost forced to be like, hey, like at least one or two people you feel it's approachable, and or they approach you, and the whole thing I felt like was a great model that I feel like was really good. And I don't know, I know I need that. Like you said, we all go through seasons of life where we do feel loneliness, whether it's like, I'm single, I don't know like who to hang out with right now. I never even thought of it from the single side. Like all my friends are married, and I'm like, bro, I never thought of that.
I know, we forget
Girl,
the
let me
singles.
tell you.
I'm
I'm always like on the other side, like all my friends are single. I'm like, I'm always here busy with kids and stuff, and I'm like, you guys, I guess you feel it. You feel it too.
That struggle is real, okay?
You're like, you guys need to stop getting married and having kids.
Literally. Well, I don't know. It's like mixed feelings.
No, I think it's like, I mean, I'm guessing you're single.
I am,
So
yeah.
that's something that I spoke with my best friend about that. I think there's two sides, right? Like this, on the single side, I feel like because your friends always see you doing stuff, they're like, oh, they're like out, they're busy.
Yeah.
But like, we're alone most of the time.
Yeah.
Like, and we make like, we have to actually be intentional about like doing stuff. Like, it's not like we have someone that we're like around all the time.
Yes.
So I feel like sometimes like we want to be invited to like dinner with your family. Like we want to be invited to like your house, or we want to be invited to do stuff. Like, yes, we have our own life, but I feel like sometimes people can assume like, oh, look at them just traveling and thriving. I feel like we do that stuff because we have the time to do that stuff.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if you can add to that.
Oh, 100%. I tell my like married friends or even friends with kids, like, hey, I really want to spend time with you, and they're like, I know, but like I it's just so hard right now, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, I'm not asking you to like change your life. Invite me over for dinner. I will hold your baby in my lap while we eat dinner together. Like, I just want to see your face, you know, like I just want to spend time with you. I feel like it's hard for me too, specifically, like because I am really extroverted, so in that large group,
She's a 7.
thrive. Oh yeah, I'm a 7. I like thrive in that large group, but it's hard for me to find depth in that group. So like when we shrink it down to like 2025, and you're like so intentional with that, I can sit with like 2 or 3 other women and like really find depth there, and then I'm like comfortable. Like, yeah, invite me over to your house. Yeah. Like I just want to come and sit on your back porch with you. Like I'll just want to be with you. So like just invite me into your space and I'll be there, you know? So there's like real depth there in that smaller group. And I love that, like, because it's this intentionally small group of people, like I'm going to try to like explain this the best I can, but like it could be very easily replicated. Like you could help other people start other She Cultivates groups in those other places because you've already done that. Like you started it with your community and then replicated it for a community for somebody else. And so like you would be able to help other people do that same thing somewhere else. So I just think it's like so easy to just continue to see this growth in like a very intentionally small way. Does that make sense?
I think the number is important. Like I know that like almost write a curriculum for it and be like, keep it small, because I feel like that is really key, because people get really intimidated with big numbers, or you know, maybe I don't know. I think it is really key, because we're either like one-on-one with like our best friend, or we're asked to like go into these big spaces or networking events or whatever, and they're just like overwhelming. So I think you find the really happy medium when in your events specifically.
Yeah.
I love it.
No, yeah, that's a great like way to see it, because I feel like if anything, maybe doing multiple a month, so it's like, hey, you can go to like these two and then still keep it
that's
that
cool.
way as it continues to grow.
Right.
We're really in our first year, and some people do not believe us, but like literally we are in the beginning stages, so like we're still learning a lot, we're still growing. We've had some failures of like, you know, like lessons of like, ooh, definitely can't do that again, you know, and then some other really like good events that I'm like, okay, yes, these are the type of events. So, you know, we've experimented a lot this year to kind of figure out, but our goal is still the same.
Yeah. That's awesome. Have you seen like true friendships come together? Like, oh my gosh, she got together and now they're like, what have you seen out of the group? What is the fruition?
Yeah, so like I love, we have about like 60% of the people that actually return back. So we did like a report, you know, and that's like business number. Side. Yeah. And we have 40% that are new. So number. Like in every event we have a higher retention rate, which is great, right? But it's also, we have a lot of new people that come and they're like curious, or they find us on TikTok or social media. And social media has been a gem for this, because TikTok has been pushing our stuff out and has been bringing the girlies, and I love it.
Nice.
So, like, continue doing that. That's free marketing.
Nice.
But honestly, it's interesting because we have had girls that go out to brunch together, that have met, that have gone to classes together.
So cool.
Even people that I've met, that I've gone to coffee with, or some of the other girls on the team have hung out with, you know, in their community. And I just feel like that's something that, like, in the summer, I was like, how are we tracking this? Like, you know, we see these people are like connecting. So we definitely want to start like kind of like a She Cultivates Orlando movement. So it's like you tag us when you're hanging out with your friend, you know, that you met through the event, as like a way to like show that it's like you can actually meet people here.
Yeah.
So we're working on that. And definitely even within our group, I feel like we have grown. There's still, sometimes it's still hard to make the time though, I'm not gonna lie, because it's like we have like within our, even our core team, we have like our meeting dates, and then it's like we have our event day, and then it's like we have a life, and so it's hard to sometimes make time to be like, okay, we need to like intentionally go out and have something for us. So we're working on that to really like cultivate that within our group more, and also continue that, to see that, you know, because I feel like we set the example for that.
Exactly. It's almost like a married couple. Like if mom and dad aren't working, the whole family's not going to work. So you need to set up your date night for you guys.
Literally.
And make it work.
Good. Exactly. But it is really hard. And that's one thing that even within the group, I'm like saying of like, there are things that I just continuously need to like grow as like a leader, as like, you know, to like be intentional about stuff, because I also can be busy and I can have stuff going on, but it's like I know that even within my core team, checking in on them consistently and being like, hey, like aside from what you do in the group here, like how are you, you know, because sometimes we get lost in like doing stuff together too, that we forget that, you know. And I know like in church spaces and in different spaces, like we're like serving, or we see them all the time, but like are we really taking that time to like check in on people?
That's so
and I think that part, I feel like for that relates to any space that you're in, I think that's the intentionality that you have to be think about.
But I think that you learn that in a tight-knit community. Like you learn those things about yourself, like those little holes in your relationships in that tight-knit community, and you're like, wow, I really need to like grow and be better at this if I want my relationships to be successful, right? So it just like more so speaks to like you have to have people in your life so that you can notice these things about yourself and like be better and get better and be a better friend and a better person, you know. And you're gonna be able to serve them so much better as a friend when you start to identify those things.
Oh, totally. And it's like making those good quality friendships as well, you know, because sometimes I know, at least for me, like in certain seasons, it feels like all my friendships are kind of superficial, and it's like, oh, let's go hang out, let's go get a drink, let's go get coffee, and it's or whatever, and it can be very like superficial, and you don't get those deep conversations, like honestly, what's going on, like, are you okay, like I heard something, you know, like I don't know, just getting deep can be hard for a lot of people sometimes, you know. So I think it's good to make sure that you have those types of deep friendships that are not just like, oh, let's just go do it. You know what I mean? Like having the opportunity to get deep and real, because that's what we long for, honestly. We long to be seen. We long to be heard. And I think having that with a friend is so great. Like, obviously you can have that type of relationship with a husband or whatever, but I don't know, to me, like a girlfriend, like a friend, I love that. To me, I'm like, I don't know if it's because I grew up with like a sister, but like that sisterness, that soul sisterness, it's like hits on another level. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Do you guys have sisters?
No,
well, obviously you have 2 sisters.
I do.
I don't know.
I
you have
that.
sisters?
Yeah. No, honestly, having sisters, when you're growing up, you like low key do not like it because you're like, that's not fair. I have to share everything.
Right. Yeah. She took my whatever. Yeah.
But like anyone that knows with a sister, as you get older, you're like, oh my God, like how can I live without my sister?
Yeah.
Like this is my person, like for life. So it's like my older sister had her baby, which is my niece, Rain. I love her. I'm obsessed with her. She's almost 2. And I feel like just seeing like our family and our love grow within our family is just so special. And then my other sister that got married and seeing her in her season, but like still being intentional about our time together. And I just feel like it's like having a sister, I feel like definitely set me up because I should go back. I grew up moving around a lot, and so I actually didn't have that close of friendships.
Yeah.
And so my sisters became my besties.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that is first our foundation, like of our sisterhood, but also once I started, you know, kind of grounding myself here in Orlando, and I started making cultivating friendships here, I feel like my sisters have always still been like number one, you know, and those are like the people that like mean so much. And then I've gotten to meet other people or allow for new friends as well. That's awesome. Which I feel like those friendships have really shaped me as well.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that's so great. And that's so funny, because you have sisters.
Yeah,
are you
all girls?
All girls? Are you guys are all girls?
Yeah, I have a half brother.
Okay.
Yeah, he's older, but yes, in the house it's us 3.
I know. I think about it sometimes. I'm like, I am so lucky to have a sister. Like I remember my mom would tell me all the time. She's like, I only had brothers. Like she really wanted a sister growing up, and I'm like, it make, at least for a girl. I mean, I don't know if it's the same for like boys having brothers, but for girls having sisters, I feel like it's something special.
It's something so special.
It's so special.
I used to get so mad at my mom because when we would argue, my mom didn't have any sisters growing up, so she only had one brother, and she like really felt it for us. Like she was like, this is the best thing that's ever happened. They're all girls, you know. But I used to get so mad because we would fight, and she'd be like, you guys need to figure this out because this is the only person that's going to know everything about you without any context, that's going to know every single thing you've ever gone through. Like, and when you grow up, you're going to be upset if you didn't heal this relationship. So like, go apologize and make it right, because she's going to be there for you when nobody else is, when all these little friends that you think like you in middle school are gone. Like your sister's going to be there. And she's right. Like as an adult, moving to Orlando was so hard. My older sister lives in the Orlando area, and so like I was over at their house all the time. I would like pick her up from work just to like see her, because my mom was right. It's the only person I don't have to give any context to. Like we can just jump right in and like
she could just probably see your face and she already knows everything.
Literally. And like I'm a girl's girl, so like I have besties, you know what I mean? But like I don't know, there's just something special about that relationship. Yeah.
It's the closest, and I feel like the most real. It's like my sisters, I would say my sisters, my family know me the most. Like I feel like that comfort level that you can just, like even yesterday, because my birthday was yesterday, and they were pulling out like all the pictures, like, should we post this one of you? And I'm like, no, stop it. And they're like, should I post this? Like they have like a whole folder.
It's like you're sleeping and like drool. Because you know you have to take those pictures when you see it.
My sisters have like the ugliest pictures of me ever. And I'm like, don't you dare. Like the other day, it was so funny. I was taking out the trash, and like I was in the dark, so like I literally look like an old lady. Like I had like my bata on, like my like no makeup, my glasses, and so like I walk out, and then my sister's like, smile, and she literally takes a picture of me in the dark. I'm like, you stop, you're so. She's like, look at you taking out the trash. I'm like, you're like
all like
yeah, literally, I literally look like homeless.
So funny.
So funny. But it's like those are friendships that like even I've talked about this on my podcast, but like even like when I went through like toxic relationships, that affected my relationship with them. And that was so hard, because those are like my ride or die people, but I wanted my relationship to work, and so recovering that relationship with them has been so healing now, you know, because like I'm like, why did I ever like betray you? I'm so sorry, you know, because like those are like the people that always want the best for you, you know, and like want you to be better than them. Like my older sister, like she's like, I want you to like be the best, like like you don't feel that competition as much with your siblings as much as like with your, you know what I mean, like it's a different level of like you want to see them win genuinely,
because then you win. Honestly, it's like you're so proud of them. You're
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
that's my sister, that's my
Yeah.
brother, that's, you know,
Yeah.
and then it's like you're
Getting
winning too.
emotional.
Oh. She's so cute.
Or even like marriage, like stuff like that. Like my little sister got married before me, and I was like, I'm just so happy. Like I literally,
That's awesome. That's awesome.
like it's like such a different level of love with
Yeah.
sisters. So I'm
That's
glad
so
we all
awesome.
relate on that.
Yeah. Oh no, totally. And it made me think of that. I'm like, why do I get along so good? Like I love being with like girls. I'm like, I think it's because I had a sister, and even though we're 9 years apart, which is a huge age difference, I feel like we always got along well. Like I feel like no matter if I was like, I don't know, a teenager and she was in elementary school, I don't know, it still worked, and we still like got along, and we always had silly things. I would always like do her makeup and do silly stuff, and it's just fun. And then it really does set you up for like being able to relate to women and understand and be like,
and you know what to look for too. Like what you were saying, like I want a friend who like cheers me on and wants the best for me and wants me to be the best version of myself. Like, but that's because like I had sisters who like already did that for me, and so I'm looking to replicate that in like where I go, like a soul sister,
like a soul
if you want to say that. So
have you had like a best friend like that where you're like, this person was life changing other than your sisters? That you've had like, wow, I could not have like navigated life without her? Or
I feel like I have different key people in my life that definitely came at like the right time and the right seasons. But I would say as like my adult self, I feel like my friendship with one friend that I feel like we didn't, it's funny because the way that we met was through my ex-partner. And I say this jokingly, but honestly, like the best thing that he gave me was her.
Oh, that's okay. At least he gave you something good.
It was my bestie. So I met her through him, and she was like she had a completely different personality than me. She's like more introvert, more serious. She has kind of like, you know, like a leave me alone face. And she was very closed off and isolated, like, you know, with herself. And me, I'm like over here, like bubbly, like I'm just like, you know, like on a 10. And so I feel like even the girly part of me, like we're just so different. But I feel like over the years, as I like was in different groups and everything like that, like how we were talking about earlier, about sometimes you have friends that are fun for the season, or like you're like, wow, this is so nice that I have these friends to go out with all the time, but like none of these people here know me. And that's like the craziest thing when you literally can like leave a place and you're like taking a picture, like, oh my god, besties, and then it's like they have no idea that my grandpa's in the hospital. No, like I'm like
Literally,
serious. Like they have no idea that. And there's two parts to this, because I feel like with the vulnerability, a lot of us aren't taught to do that. And sometimes we also aren't given the space for that. So there's no like space to be like, hey, like tell me really what's going on. But also us feeling open enough or safe enough to open up to say that to someone.
Trust.
Yeah, like the trust. Yeah. So sometimes you're like, no, but over here we have just fun. So like that's not the level that's allowed here, you know? So sometimes we don't feel like that safe space for that. So I feel like through so many seasons, like if I look back in my early 20s, or even, I always had friends. Like I was always one of those girls that had like a big group of friends. But then when I started really going through challenges in my 20s, I moved out, and like that is hard for anyone in your early 20s. I was in college, I had 3 jobs, like I was going through an unhealthy relationship, and through that season where I really needed friends, I really felt the most alone. But I had the friend group. I was going on trips with all these girls, and and so my friend that I'm going back to, that I feel like she was there through it all. Like she wasn't looking at me for what I had to give to her. Like it wasn't because of like how I looked or like what socially, you know, how it was going to be. It was like she just genuinely would check on me and be like, hey, just checking on you, like let's go get coffee. Like we would touch base, you know. And so I feel like we cultivated this like genuine friendship that has lasted up until now. So I met her in 2013, so we are like in our 10-year anniversary of our friendship. That's but great. I would say we've gotten the closest like in the past like 6 years. And even like post my breakup, she was literally like, it was kind of hard because she met him through, you know, like she got a mutual me.
She was like a mutual
and
friend.
like he was like, you traitor, and like honestly it wasn't a traitor. She knew from the moment she knew that we were going to be friends. And that just happened organically. But I think that through that, she was like, I'm going to support you. I see you as like a person, you know, like she just was genuinely there. And we've helped each other through so many different seasons of like our mental health struggles, of just family grief, of just challenges of like being lost. I remember there was a time that we were kind of both, I'm going to say like unemployed or like still trying to figure out certain things like around 2020, like, you know, that whole shift. And I remember we were at the beach and we're like, look at us, just here.
Just like at the beach on a weekday.
And so like we've gone through so many like really low lows.
But that's kind of cute together.
Yes. And then we've gone through seasons of like really good times, you know, and now she's even part of the She Cultivates crew.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
I'm just, it's funny how it's like full circle that like we're working together on something now. And she's
that's
like
awesome.
not an entrepreneurship type. She's like a very like soft life kind of girl. Mm-hmm. And I think that we appreciate and respect our lifestyles because they're very different. She got married when she was 20. Wow. I'm still not married. Mm-hmm. And we've been able to do that. Like she invites me over for dinner, like, you know, doing stuff together. You know, her husband has helped set our events up for She Cultivates. Like it's like doing life together. Not all the time, of course, but I think that part is special because I feel like it doesn't feel like she's like so far gone, you know, from our relationship, which is sweet, great. You know, and then we talk about it, like, how is it going to look when you have kids, you know, and like all that kind of thing, which will probably look like me carrying her baby to the table. But I think that that's the beauty of like healthy friendships. I feel like her friendship, and I tell her this, I've told her this so many times, of like, your friendship has healed my wounds of unhealthy friendships. Wow. And you have like shown me like what a true friend is, and like I am so grateful for that, because I think that like you see me as just me, you know, without all the fluff and without anything, you know, to gain. It's just like you're just there. And I feel like I always felt like I had to be different to be loved or accepted in even a friendship, you know? So like we've helped each other break down those walls, and like, and something that I want to like say for sure is that in friendships that change your life, like it is so important to know that you can be hurt in community, but you can also be healed through community. Yeah. And sometimes those friendships that come into your life, they can show you like how true friendship can be. Yeah. But if you close off to all friends and like all people, like you'll never be able to experience the love or the kindness or the genuine care of real friends.
Exactly. Yeah. That's so true. Or else you turn into the Grinch.
Yeah.
You're living up in the top of the mountain. Yes. All he wanted was love.
He wanted love. He just was looking in the wrong places, and he wasn't giving people a chance.
That's so true though. We when you shut yourself off to that, then there's no way you can ever heal that area of your life. It's so true. Wow, that's huge. That friend really like healed a lot of things for you. That's awesome. That's a real friend. Yeah. Yeah. That's a real
very
friend.
Valuable. And I think that is, and I hope same for me, that I can do that for my friends, you know? Yeah. Because I think that a good friend is also, and we had like an episode about that. It was kind of like a friend that's also very self-aware, and it's also seeing their self as like, I have room to improve as well. Not like I'm the best friend, like everybody else is toxic, you know, like we're kind of in that culture where we call a lot of things toxic. Yeah. But it's kind of like some people are hard to love, and there's that. But also some people just, we need to also work and be aware of our faults, you know, and say sorry. And like, because we've had those moments, even though, yes, she is like closest friend, but like deep friendships also bring up a lot of issues. Yeah. And same with like relationships. It's like in that you will have the most conflict, but you can also, you can also be like, oh, that was me. Like, them kind of like reverting to old patterns or old ways, you know? So it's like making sure that we're also taking the time to work on ourselves as a friend, to be a better friend.
That's a really good point. Because it can't be all like fun times and like, thank you for loving me and friendship and laughter. But it's that challenging time when you're like, oh, you're really annoying me right now. Or like, why is that annoying me? Or why am I mad when she does that? Yeah. That's a really good point, to like kind of refine each other and just constantly be. It's so true. I mean, what has been your best friend? I think we talked about it on your episode, right?
Yeah. So, like, a couple people come to mind when we're talking about that, but I have a friend, Julianne, who, like, she has license to say literally anything she needs to say to me. And like there have been a couple of times where she's like, okay, hello, like why are we doing this right now? Like what are you doing? Like you know that this isn't healthy, that this isn't helpful. Like what are we doing? Or like I'll have a big reaction just even in front of her, like not even towards her, and she'll see like a few minutes later, okay, so whenever you're ready to unpack that, let me know. Like you know, because she just has like that license in my life because like for a while I did shut myself off to that community, and I wanted a friend so badly, but I just like didn't know how to get there. Like even though I was extroverted and whatever, I was just having a really hard time mentally and emotionally. And then like I met this person who just understood where I was coming from and said, yeah, me too. And so we were able to be really honest with each other. But because she's seen me in like that really dark place, she knows that like, okay, the way you just reacted, that's not really you. So we need to fix, like we need to identify whatever that was, but we can take our time if we need to, you know, you just let me know whenever you're ready. So, but like she has like full license to say what she needs to say. And I think
that's important.
Like Kat, that's who we talked about on my episode, but
that's right.
Like Kat says some things to me that like I've never had anybody say to me. And it's not mean, it's not like I don't feel like I have to defend myself. I don't feel like it's a critique, but like she genuinely just cares about me and wants me to be the best version of myself. So when she notices an unhealthy pattern, like this is so silly, but like I never wear my seatbelt. It's like really a problem. And Kat, every time I leave her house, she's like, please wear your seatbelt. I'm going to text you and ask you halfway through your drive if you're wearing your seatbelt, so you better be wearing it because I'm going to know if you're lying. Like, so it's just like little things like that. Like she genuinely just cares about me and like is going to find ways to improve my life. So, yeah.
Wrapping it up, I wanted to ask you if someone, one of our listeners is like, yeah, sounds great. I wish like I could just walk into a room and make a friend, or what would be kind of your advice to someone who's seeking community or seeking that feeling like, okay, I kind of want to heal and go back into a group of friends, of girlfriends, or just maybe rekindle a friendship? What would kind of be your advice to them to make that jump?
I would say first for someone that is trying to rekindle a friendship, I feel like that feel and process what that feels like, because that's hard, but also give space and time to have that hard conversation, because sometimes there's conversations that can be healing, you know, and sometimes we think that that's going to be like the worst, but there are friendships that you can reconnect, and that's beautiful, but there's also friendships sometimes that you can't, and it's going to change, and having the and embracing that and letting go, I feel like is sometimes the best thing, because then that also allows for new friendships to bloom, you know, because sometimes the end is just the beginning to something else. And then to people that want to get out there and that need friends or maybe feel isolated, know that first, you're not alone, that a lot of us struggle with that, and that is something that in our society, in our culture, like we're just taught to do things very independent and individual. So just know that first, that's okay. But then now that you have the awareness, is taking that step and getting out of your comfort zone and saying, okay, I'm going to go to that event, even though that is so cringe and I'm going to feel so awkward at first. But just like with anything that you start, it's going to feel uncomfortable at first, but you don't know what potential friendships that you're going to find and what potential love and community that there is to have. So show up first, and then also be open, be open. And a huge thing about She Cultivates, why we really call this She Cultivates, is because we believe that you have to cultivate friendships. You don't just go into friendships and just like, oh, we clicked, we matched. Like, if I don't touch base with you and I don't like say like, hey, like following up on stuff that we talked about, if I'm not like aware of you, like we're not gonna get anywhere deeper. So I feel like that part is like you being intentional now in those friendships to be like, hey, I heard, when I met you, it was so nice to meet you. I know that you like coffee, I like coffee, like do you want to meet at this coffee shop? When you go there, you find out more information, and through time you'll start cultivating that openness and that trust and that space to be more open, and that's going to take time. That's doing life together. And so I would say, give it that time, and don't assume that just because you see in movies that people are like, oh my god, we're besties, and like it does take time, and to have deep, meaningful friendship even takes longer, because
so good.
That comes with more time and more opportunities or trust that you see, and that's cultivated through hard times, through, it's like the seasons, like they say that it's like you test the relationship of things like over seasons. So think about a friendship like that, like you have to go through different seasons in your friendship to build that deep connection. And so just know that there's people out there, and you're always welcome at the table as She Cultivates Orlando, and to many more events. So I hope to see you guys there as well.
I want to come back. Honestly, let's plan to go. I mean, she lives in Lakeland now, so it's a little far, but
I'll make the drive. This is so fun.
No, and
One time a month.
you guys, and I feel like you guys specifically really create a space of warmth and welcoming space, and it's not cringe. It's really not cringe at all. Like I feel like every woman there is very intentional and loving and friendly and open, and there's no like snobbery or cliquey vibes, which can happen in those types of events. And so I really love that. I feel like you guys are really fostering an atmosphere of welcome, hospitality, and I think only great things are going to come from She Cultivates. Like, it's really awesome. So thank you so much for joining us, Elizabeth. Isn't she awesome?
She's so cool.
She's so great. She's Miss Great. I feel like you're just like, I don't know, like there's like this elegance about you that I don't even know how to pinpoint, but you're just like
effortless. Like it's not try hard or anything.
It's not like,
like easy breezy.
There's no elitism to your elegance. It's just like a very beautiful elegance.
She's Grace. What is it?
She's beauty and she's Grace. She's Miss United States.
Honestly, pageant life, I don't think I can ever do that, but that's a side note.
No, you have the grace.
I really appreciate that, and I appreciate you guys in your space, because I love what you guys are doing. Talking about friendship, like that is so important, and just talking about it from adult life, things that you walk through, and even like I know you and your friendships, like of how long you guys have been together and friends, you know, and so I love what you're doing, and I know it's just going to grow as well.
Thank you.
And I'm just really glad for your vulnerability.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, I hope we can do this again sometime. Yes. I don't know. I mean, what we
have you on my podcast.
Yeah. Oh, this is me being a millennial.
I
Sorry.
Know. Oh, yes.
Let me be a Gen Z.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Is that a Gen Z? I feel like it's like I'm like not
so
trying.
Sad.
Oh, like okay, this is Gen Z. What's Gen Z? Tell me a Gen Z pose.
I don't know.
Let's close with our Gen Z pose.
I'm like not good
at picture.
The fish eye.
Oh, the like 0.5. Yeah, like the wide lens.
Oh wow, the 0.5. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's where your head is big.
Yeah.
All right, quick, do your Gen Z pose right now. Go.
I don't have a Gen Z pose.
Oh, yeah,
I'm really bad at Instagram.
Okay, fine. All right, whatever. We'll close. Thank you guys so much for watching another episode of the Soul Sisters podcast. I really hope that this was encouraging to you, and I just want to keep reminding you guys that friendships are so important. So if you're struggling right now, if you're feeling like I don't want to reach out to my friend, or I feel weird, or maybe there's a little bit of pride there, I just challenge you to dig deep and just figure out what's causing you to block that friendship or block yourself from entering this community of friendship again. So I hope you're encouraged. I hope you try going to a fun event or texting that friend that you've had on your mind for a while, and share this episode with a friend or a sister or anyone that you have in your life. And I thank you guys for subscribing and following, and all the things that you guys do, and I really appreciate you. And thank you, Andie, for co-hosting with me today.
Yeah,
I love you. I'm gonna do. Wait, what's the Gen Z one? I'm just doing like gang signs.
Little fingers. Or you could do this one.
No.
No,
okay,
not that one.
That's the one. That's the one. Chris did it. All right. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Friends, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Soul Sisters podcast.
Our heart is to bring this encouraging content to you, and we ask that you join us by following or subscribing wherever you're listening from.
And also, share this with a friend who would enjoy it.
We love you, and we'll see you again next week for a new episode. Besitos!